Another top 10 list about the god of mischief, Loki. This guy or girl reappears in so many different Marvel storylines and arcs, and as a shapeshifter, not always appearing the way we expect him or her to. These are the top 10 most powerful alternate versions of Loki. Number 10, we've got President Loki. Loki has always been known as a trickster, using his deception and social manipulation to get what he wants. So I'm placing President Loki in this list because this version of the trickster is at peak performance when it comes to what he does best. In Vote Loki Volume 1, this Loki is running for president. The issue was released in 2016, giving it another dimension of context that we can all understand, telling the story of a bad dude who had become famous for other things before trying a term in the Oval Office. But in the Disney Plus story, he appears as a variant of Loki that had been pruned and placed into the void along with the other unwanted Lokis, and this Loki uses his powerful influence to build an army of rejects and pose a pretty serious threat to the heroes of the story. His only downfall is due to the fact that the people he's trying to lead are other Lokis. And remember what almost all Lokis seem to want somewhere deep down inside? Yeah, their own powers. So yes, there's a revolt, and Alligator Loki, one of my favorite Lokis, bites off President Loki's arm. The idea of a Loki running for president is terrifying and more powerful than people might give it credit for. Remember, power doesn't always mean brute force. I mean, haven't we learned anything from Loki's approach time and time again? At number 9, we have Loki from Earth 12591. And if you know your reality codes, you'll know I'm talking about the Loki that has to face off against an onslaught of zombies. Now, this version of Loki isn't glaringly more powerful than the rest, but his power comes from his final act of protecting the rest of the survivors from a zombie Thor. It isn't typical for Loki to actually contend with his brother in hand-to-hand combat, especially when his brother is under the influence of a plague that inflicts aggression and possibly even more super strength. But he does, and in this struggle, he almost wins. Unfortunately though, Thor is backed up by the other zombies and tears Loki to pieces. But he goes out with glory, saving the lives of a few in the process, and also sort of abandoning a few as well, in classic Loki fashion. He had just previously left a few others to die as something of a distraction while he escaped, but his final confrontation shows Loki putting up an impressive fight given the circumstances and wielding his flaming sword Leviathan. At number 8, we have Inverted Loki from the Axis storyline. In this storyline, Loki, along with other villains and heroes alike, are hit with an inversion spell. This causes everyone's personalities to shift into opposites of what they normally are. And what this does to, or should I say what this does for Loki, is actually makes him worthy of wielding Thor's hammer. In the context of Loki, Mjolnir is like a symbol for his eternal inadequacy to Thor and Odin. As long as he couldn't wield it, he would never get the respect he thought he deserved from his adopted family. But when this changes, it makes Loki infinitely more powerful than he ever could have been otherwise. Not only can he use the hammer, but his insecurities seem to vanish and his personality changes to be, well, heroic. In Journey into Mystery Fear itself, this storyline is further explored, because who doesn't want to know what Loki could achieve with his adept wit and cunning, matched with his newfound confidence and power? The answer would be something like if Thor could also talk himself out of almost anything and trick people into getting exactly what he wants. Very powerful stuff. At number 7, we have Sylvie. This female version of Loki causes such a huge impact on the MCU storyline that she actually splits apart the whole multiverse. She seems to be the most cunning and effective version of Loki without needing to rely on godly powers. She causes a Nexus event when she escapes the TVA and the Timekeepers, posing as one of the most major threats to the sacred timeline that the TVA had ever seen. And as she grows up and hides among different timelines, she plans to exact her revenge on her former captors. When she successfully finds her way to He Who Remains, she, spoiler alert, kills him, not realizing this would cause the multiverse to collapse, giving Kang a boost of power. But this one single Loki variant, Sylvie, uses all her abilities of cunning and wit to her advantage as she blends in throughout the years, making arguably a more significant impact than even the original Loki could ever make. Next on our list at number 6, we have Boastful Loki from the MCU. This version of Loki wields what appears to be Thor's hammer Mjolnir. Well, not quite. It kind of looks more like a wrench with a chunk of girder jammed onto the end of it. But regardless Regardless, this version of Loki claims that before he was found out by the TVA and his timeline pruned, he had acquired all of the Infinity Stones. This character is most likely a reference to Loki Odinson from Earth 18897, who in the comics also has the Infinity Stones and wields Mjolnir. And when he comes in contact with the less impressive Loki Laufeyson, he sort of mocks him, saying, "Where are your Infinity Stones? Where is your Mjolnir?" So mean. Also, this superior Loki's last name suggests he's the true son of Odin, also a sword spot for the Loki we know, with the power of the Infinity Stones and his own manipulative capabilities to boot. It's fair to say that he'd have quite the one-up on his original counterpart, who couldn't even lift the hammer, let alone wield all the Infinity Stones, or even get out of his own head. Okay, at number 5 we have King Loki, who appears first in Loki Agent of Asgard number 1. This version of Loki is working for the All-Mother, completing tasks for her in order for her to erase his past crimes. And each task that he completes successfully for the All-Mother deletes a crime of his from the past. Talk about regret, eh? Yeah. This Loki just seems more supercharged than the Earth 616 version, both in his motivations and his abilities. He also faces off and defeats the Ultron Singularity, the last task on his list of deeds laid out by the All-Mother. He's then freed and supposedly forgiven for his deeds, but when he's continued to be referred to as the God of Lies, he goes back to his old ways once more. After hundreds of years working for the All-Mother, this Loki has had a lot more time practicing his abilities and therefore has gotten a lot better with them, much to the chagrin of Earth, which he destroys in this storyline. And then he tries to attack Thor with an army of the undead. He fails at the latter, but to really get his point across to his brother, he then goes back in time and corrupts a younger version of Thor to change the outcome of the present. With all those years of experience and practice, he has gained much more power, allowing him to successfully, and sometimes not so successfully, alter timelines to meet outcomes of his choosing, which makes him pretty influential in the grand scheme of things. This is a very powerful version of Loki with a ton of accolades under his belt and a lot of resentment. Also, his name just gives me bad vibes. Who let Loki be king of anything? Come on, haven't we learned? At number 4, we have Loki 16191, who is another female iteration of Loki, and in this world, she is a member of A-Force, an organization that defends Arcadia from any unwanted enemies or visitors. In this reality, Loki is a foster mother to America Chavez and Nico Minoru, and she seems to have a very close bond with the two of them. But when a megalodon appears in Arcadia through a mysterious portal, America throws it over the shield and is arrested by the Thors. I know, this one's a bit weird, isn't it? But what makes this Loki so powerful is that she basically runs the show in this reality, keeping a watchful eye over Arcadia. She also seems to have let go of the typical Loki motivations of power, hunger, and sibling rivalry for the most part, showing genuine love and care for her foster daughters. Fortunately, however, it's later uncovered that she hadn't really let go of that power hunger and had allowed the megalodon through the portal, causing her daughter's arrest. And after she lets in sentinels through another portal, She-Hulk confronts her big time and the battle is on. Loki unleashes her power and breaks down part of the shield, allowing zombies again to enter Arcadia. This Loki is one to watch out for, considering she is in a high position of power and isn't afraid to start zombie wars and break down whole systems of government for the simple cause of revenge. At number 3, there's classic Loki. This version of Loki appears in the Disney Plus Loki TV series, showing off supreme powers that could only prove why he was put away into the void in the first place. He is able to fool Thanos by creating a projection of himself, making Thanos think that he'd killed him, when in reality, he's posing as a little piece of debris nearby the ship as Thanos takes off. On top of that, he's able to create an illusion of Asgard to distract Alioth and allow Sylvie and time-traveling Loki to escape. The illusion is so impressive that neither Sylvie or even himself thought it possible. He's an older, wiser version of Loki that has clearly seen a lot and learned a lot from his experience. And if we're being honest, the original Loki's biggest weaknesses that keep him from reaching his full power are his insecurities. And with maturity, it seems that these concerns have drifted away for the most part, allowing him to focus and be that much more powerful. At number 2, we have Ikol, which is Loki spelled backwards. This alternate version of Loki is the elder essence of Loki that still remains in the mind of Kid Loki. Since Kid Loki has gone down a path of good, it becomes Ikol's duty to stop his progress and take back Kid Loki's body to be his own. This version of Loki, although only a mirage, is able to use his manipulation to stop his legacy of trickery and evil from being overwritten and reinstill his evil impact into the universe. What makes him so powerful and dangerous in the form of Ikol is that he is the pure concentrated essence of mischief and hate. He's what's left when you take the good that Loki has deep down and strip it out. And in a metaphorical sense, this means that Ikol exists in every form of Loki. He is what makes Loki cause so much death and destruction throughout all his alternate iterations. He is the constant, but what's good is that there are more spots left, and the next one is reserved for Kid Loki. Kid Loki comes in at number 1 because of his sheer influence on the outcome of so many events. And in this case, these are positive events with the intention of gaining Thor's respect and affection. Like when he hides the world's heart, diverting Galactus from consuming Asgard, saving Midgard from the War of the Serpent, and bringing Thor back from the dead, to name a few. He also most notably influences Nightmare to create a fear crown, which the Fear Lords then start an endless internal conflict over, fighting for eternity to get the crown for themselves. This saves countless innocent lives, but doesn't last long, and Kid Loki has to let Ikol wipe his mind to destroy the foundation of the Fear Crown, which was derived from one of Loki's fear clots. To add another accolade to Kid Loki's power, he allows this to happen because now the immortal demon Mephisto has acquired the crown. But before he goes out, he rubs it in Ikol's face that he won, that good won, and that Ikol wasn't strong enough to fight against the good that Kid Loki was destined to do. So there you have it, a super effective version of Loki who arguably had more of an impact in his short life than any other Loki has had ever, and all for the greater good. And that is pretty powerful. So what did you think of this list? Agree, disagree, deeply disagree? Deeply agree. Leave it all down below in the comments. Until next time, I'm Ben Ball. Follow me on Instagram if you'd like, and stay nerdy.